When fire says run and wisdom says wait, there's just something intoxicating about a powerful date on the calendar, the new Lunar New Year, the fire horse energy, momentum, movement, and initiation. It feels like the universe is handing you a match and saying, run. And I almost did. I almost pushed my book launch to land on this very fire symbolic magical day because it felt aligned. It felt powerful, like that was proof that I was moving forward and it was going to give so much more support to the book. But here's the truth no one talks about. Fire is powerful and fire's reckless if you don't respect it. The past few weeks, I've been driving 30 minutes out of town one way twice a week for physical therapy,
Oh my God.
working on healing my body and reporting in and being honest. What's your pain level today? How do you feel today? What helped the other day? What's not helping? What have you done? And really having to be real about it. And I realized on those drives that healing has a commute. Growth has a cost, and leveling up requires more energy than we'd like to admit. Some mornings, my coffee doesn't energize me. It just lulls me back into the couch. And that old version of me would have called that laziness. The evolving person, that version of me calls that integration. So today, on this Lunar New Year, instead of launching on the perfect date, I'm choosing something braver. I'm choosing sustainability. I'm choosing one reflection at a time, and I'm choosing to tend to that fire instead of letting it burn me out. Because when the fire says run, wisdom sometimes says wait. And that pause is not failure. And I am joined today by my friend and co-contributor on so many of my things, Andy Nam, functional longevity expert. So, Andy, how does that hit you?
It hits me pretty hard. Today is Lunar New Year, or for all us Chinese people, Chinese New Year. So we're lucky to get to spend two New Years each year, right? And like you said, this year's the fire horse, um, and fire. It's powerful, right? But like you said,
Yeah,
if
and
you're
I've looked
it
at
can
some of
consume
the
you.
things, and they were talking about the year of the horse, and then somewhere along the way, fire horse got thrown in. And I thought, when we talk about the the Chinese animal, the animal
Mhm.
year, and I'm probably saying it wrong, so please step in and correct me. It's more than just going to the Chinese restaurant and reading the placemat to find out what year you were born in and who you get along with and everything. And as I go further in life, I discover that a lot of these things really do that. And you throw in a little numerology. And
Mhm.
so this is a 1 year. And we're coming out of the snake year, which is a 9 year. And that's the ending of a cycle. And all of that snake energy, we were, popping out of that shell. And acknowledging that snake energy really to shed that skin. If you've ever watched a snake or any other animal as far as that goes, when they
Mhm.
morph out of those shells, it's exhausting.
Yes.
And so I'm hoping that this is springboarding into, and I really look forward to the energy that this year is the beautiful year of this fire energy, but tempering that with, looking how we manage that. We're not abandoning our ambition, but building that endurance. And I think that that's kind of what made me turn to the whole physical therapy and look at my own body. And
Yes.
'cause you do all this spiritual healing, but if you don't tend to that, as I have another friend calls it, your meat suit, if you don't tend to your meat suit,
I love that.
all of this spiritual growth is not going to be housed well. You don't have that foundation and those things. So for me, it's looking at, where is it in your life that you're forcing speed
Mhm.
because it feels powerful to really force this? And that just brings me to the comment of, haste makes waste.
Mhm.
And Andy, I know you've been launching a lot of new things with Chronic Health Collective, Chronically Healthy Living. You've got your new hyperbaric chamber.
Yes.
So many new things in launching. And I think that this is where we come into, you know, do I have the capacity to do all of
Mhm.
these things? And what things are essentially burning up because I don't have the full capacity to do those. So, when your mind is saying, let's go, let's go, let's go, and your body is just screaming, no, we're not doing it, you know? So I think that that's something to look at,
Mhm.
and so for any of those who commute to work, man, I live in a small town, so anything here, I'm going 6, 8 city blocks. I can go pretty much to any of my points in town
Mhm.
within a mile and a half. So
Nice.
but taking that journey and driving half an hour one way to take care of myself, it's a amount of time. So if you're driving to work every day, that commute, that is part of your job.
Mhm.
It's not a neutral zone. You know, this is the energy and that time you use. And I know I used to commute a lot. When I lived in upstate New York, it was 45 minutes to the nearest grocery store, let alone, to work or to do any
Right.
of the things that I did. And so looking at how you use that time, and it's not just your drive time, that is also the cost of your job. Those are
Mhm.
unpaid hours of work, especially with everything that's going on in the world energetically, with how, road rage, dare we say, and those type of things that are going on. So that's that shift. So, what do you think about
It's so
that?
true, so many people are going back to work now. We're coming back from work from home, and even a lot of my clients now are freaking out because these, well, I've been doing all my work fine for the last 4 years. Now, if you don't go back to work, you lose your job because it's mandatory, and it is sort of true. A lot of people don't think about the commute time, and the commute time is part of your work, right? So I'm gonna, like you said, we're starting a new project. We're opening up a hyperbaric wellness center, and I'm gonna have to commute again soon. But luckily, I found a friend that I can rent a place out for a chiropractic office, and it's like only 10 minutes away. So it's still gonna be a commute. But back in the day, whenever I needed to commute to see a client or something, and it's gonna be half an hour, make that commute, what's the best word to say? Fruitful, right? I used to listen to podcasts and stuff. So you're still learning during that commute, right? So you're in the right mindset once you land, as opposed to, oh man, the traffic sucked. And you just in this really bad mindset before you get to work. And then guess what? The rest of the day is going to continue on that mindset, right?
Right, it's what you put into it. What you
Yeah.
put into it is absolutely what you get out of it. And, I think that we get angry with ourselves, those
Hmm.
old tapes, that old
Yes.
identity. No matter what comes up, I just have to push through it.
Yeah.
I have to
Hmm.
do. And you've got those voices of guilt, shame, and fear
Correct.
coming in, if I don't handle this properly, if I don't.
Hmm.
And so I guess I'm saying step back,
Hmm.
you know, and really gain some control and some momentum. Listen beyond those that guilt, fear, and shame that
Hmm.
comes through, and start doing the root work that's underneath that. A lot of it is shadow work,
Hmm.
but looking at being, what is your public persona versus how you personally feel. And I've seen an author, Amy Jantz, she just released a book, and it talks, and I've not read the book yet, but it's on my list of things I need to read. But talking about how we dress the part,
Hmm.
and then we're not really being comfortable in our own skin, and how it is when you find that spot of where you can express yourself with your clothing and still be who you are. I know that different things, sometimes, when I would wear a dress to the office and people were like, "Oh, it must be laundry day." It's like, no, it's I wanted this energy. This is, and when you're going to important meetings, when you're doing those things, you're dressing the part. And a friend of mine shared last week during a networking of how they dressed men in suit and ties from the 20s and 30s.
Hmm.
Just randomly dressed them and had them walk through their normal day
Hmm.
dressed in a business suit, that three-piece suit, the
Correct.
pocket watch, the whole thing, and the way that people responded to them. And
Hmm.
I think that that's one of those things that we forget about. Just because we get comfy in our own skin, sometimes going to the box store in your pajamas
Hmm.
sends that same vibe out.
Correct.
I know there's days that it's all I can do to put on street clothes to go to the store, but I don't want to share that energy of I can't get off the couch either. So how do you outgrow your own image? How do you grow through that process?
It is so funny as you're saying that, because so many of us has gone so comfortable now with just wearing your sweats or tights. For women, they're just wearing tights everywhere, right? It's like you
We
really.
call them yoga pants. Then we can call them pants because we're saying yoga pants. We're not calling them tights.
But it's interesting because that is sort of the norm for dressing now, right? Like everyone's
Mhm.
wearing that, and if you, it is very hard to see, like you said, a woman in a dress, right? And even the men now, the men are getting lazy too, right? It's like back in the day, if I'm going to a business meeting, I'll be in a dress shirt, dress pants, and even now I'm in yoga pants, you and a comfortable yoga shirt because it's just comfortable, right? And as you're saying that, I was saying, wow, it really does make a difference depending on who you're meeting, what type of event you're going to, as what you're portraying, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, like the image, your professionalism, and everything, right? I guess if you're going as a gym instructor and everything, it may be acceptable, but if you're going as an accountant, maybe you should be going in a full suit, right?
Well, and I kind of toss this around of it's one thing to be comfortable in your own skin and to present that way,
Mhm.
but I think that so many of us are hiding behind that comfort.
Correct.
It's that whole iceberg. This is the tip of the iceberg. This is what people know about me publicly. And then all of this down here, this is my whole life. This is who I am. And, as long as it's not a hiding thing and that you
Mhm.
are able to, step into your power, be
Correct.
who you're meant to be, and to allow the world to see the real you. And that's a lot of courage right there. You know, looking at what is it you can do every day
Mhm.
to be more you,
Yeah.
to authentically be you. Now, some days your jammy pants to a box store might be what you want to present,
Correct.
but also encouraging you to not need that external validation,
Mhm.
not looking at how the world is judging you. And so I look at that example of jammy pants to the box store. Is that because that person is really comfortable with who they are
Mhm.
and they're past looking at that external judgment
Mhm.
and they don't care what people think? And as long as it's done in a healthy way,
Yes.
not because I've given up. And I
Correct,
think
correct.
that most of the time when I see people in their jammy pants out in public, I'm looking at they've given up more than they're
Mhm.
proudly strutting in their jammy pants.
Correct, correct, correct. And there's a lot of people wearing jammy pants. It's like, just to be clear, jammy pants is not the same as yoga pants.
No, 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 no. No. They usually have a
They're
wrinkle.
literally jammy pants, right? With little patterns, like Smurfs, or like it's
Penguins are my favorite pair. Yeah, yeah. But I look at that, and I also look at, like, so as I do event fairs, and it's like,
Mhm.
"How are you dressing? How are you showing up?"
Yes.
Well, my vibe, folks, is me.
Mhm.
There's not the hair and makeup routine. because it's not me. That's not
Mhm.
who I am. I spend all day checking in. No, this is what you get. This is who I am. And having that more casual mode. And as I look back at old snippets and everything, I see how much flannel I've gotten into my closet these days. But it's a comfortable thing. And
Mhm.
so, there are people in the marketing industry would say, "Oh, this isn't." It's like, but if people expect me to like profile pics, you and I were talking about because
Mhm.
I've got I'm cover contributor for Chronic Health Collective next month, and you're going,
Yeah.
you need a new headshot. It's like, yeah, it's the same picture everywhere. But not that my look has changed so much, but I look
Mhm.
at so many people when I go to their networking meetings and I see their headshots and then I see them in person or in video,
Mhm.
I see
Mhm.
them live and it's like, "Whoa, dude. Isn't the standard at least every 2 years?" So,
Yes.
but I think that that's the type of portraying yourself and
Mhm.
being there. I'm not gonna be that person to show up in a business suit
Mhm.
to probably any engagement. I don't own one, that's not who I am,
Correct, correct, correct.
and I'm not gonna mask myself in that, for a job interview or whatever. I'm
Mhm.
gonna show up in what I wear every day and because I don't wanna buy a whole new wardrobe just for a job. But looking at, what are those things that you can do? And I know part of pacing yourself. So, this book launch and my
Mhm.
book date officially is March 17th,
Oh,
that my
okay.
book will come out, Stepping into Power. And I do have a reflection guide coming out, hopefully just a couple weeks after that,
Mhm.
that will allow you to go through the process. But it's, this fire energy. And when you push through things, and I know myself, when I was working on a, it was a self-paced spiritual growth work process. And it was set up so you should do 15-20 minutes of work every day. And in 4 months, you'll complete the program. If you don't complete the program, you can continue to pay to be affiliated with the support. Um, and so I would like not work on it for a few days and
Mhm.
then I would binge on it. And when folks put these things together, follow the directions because I ended up burning myself up. I did
Mm.
too much. I brought up too much. And I found that in the last couple of weeks when I've been going through this reflection guide or workbook companion to this book. And I had these great ideas for ideas and journaling, and I've actually been doing those activities.
Mhm.
But when you're proof in a few chapters and there's 4 or 5 activities in every chapter, whoa,
Yeah.
don't do that.
True.
Definitely pace yourself and don't beat yourself up. Get rid of that shame and guilt when you missed a day or 2
Mhm.
and just step forward and look at how the things that you're doing, when otherwise when you do lots of things in one day to play catch up, one, you're not truly learning it because it's not
Mhm.
meant to be done in a single day.
Correct.
And then you just, you're exploding yourself. Because then once you get into that spiritual explosion of doing too much work in one day, it's going to take you that many more days to recover and get back to it. Had you just, it's like when if you're out sick,
Mhm.
if you spent a day in bed, it's going to take you 2 days to recover from that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And looking at these things, that's, what you need to do. So, fire builds the strength when it's contained. But
Yes.
it's gonna destroy and burn you up when you rush through it. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about today is, let's use this fire resource as a resource and
Mhm.
respect it. And, look at this transfers into what type of content are you over consuming? How much time are you spending with that digital in your hand?
Mhm. Mhm.
And the algorithms are changing to be so Um, yeah, keeping you focused right there. I mean, I think there's without going into it, I feel there is definitely an agenda behind that. We've talked about that confirmation bias that you get when you keep reading more and more about the things that you like or you're interested in or your opinion about. And then when someone shows you a different opinion, people are not going, "Oh, that's an interesting perspective."
Mhm.
Instead, they're digging their heels in deeper to prove
Yes.
their side of it, and it's creating a lot. It's creating a lot, and I I would like everyone to be able to step back and look at what is the big agenda behind all of this. If you can keep everybody focused right here and
Mhm.
looking at this, they aren't aware of everything else that's going on, you
Correct.
know? So ah, it's crazy. But just look at that. If nothing else, January 1st came along and that was your first new year of the year and
Exactly.
you made your resolutions and they're gone by now
Oh,
because
yeah.
because they don't
Most
last.
people gave up on them already, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I think statistically they last until February 7th.
Correct.
Yeah. So here we are. We have schooled ourselves once again that those
Mhm.
resolutions don't work. New whiteboards, new calendars,
Correct.
new organization systems, new tabs. I love tabs. Um, they don't fix that if you don't
Mhm.
stop what you're doing. And it's not the change of the year. But I do think this lunar year, this Chinese New Year, it comes with energy that we don't get with the turn of the first of the year on
Mhm.
our
I agree.
current calendar. I think we need to look at these older traditions, these older ways and what it's doing. And so, let things fall where they will. Look at things if they're ready, if they're
Mhm.
not ready, this whole thing with my book, I was so convinced that my book was gonna release today. I was like, "Oh, this is the day," and it's like and one thing after another, and it wasn't because the book wasn't ready, but it deserves some refinement,
Mhm.
and looking at that, an author's goal is to their duty is to write for the reader. My readers deserved better pacing in this book,
Correct.
and allowing my beta readers to come back to me with some really invaluable input into this so that I could make those last minute changes and allow me to, instead of push the date because this is a magical day,
Mhm.
to put it to where it's going to fall better, it's going to land better, and being able to reset and adjust my goals and
Mhm.
looking at everybody as they go through this journey of life, being able to really reassess things. If you don't make that launch date, it doesn't mean you scrap the whole thing.
Mhm.
You go back in and you look at the parts that are working and pull out the good stuff
Mhm.
and keep building on the good stuff. Stop beating yourself up on those other things. You know? That's the the whole thing there. So, and like I said, Andy, I know you're launching a whole bunch of stuff. And how does that sit with you? The idea of going, it's not a failure. I'm still going.
I just find that there are signs for everything that you do, right? And for me, it's like, I never see anything as a failure. I see failures as a pivot, right? So if something's not going the way you think it's supposed to be going, then there's a lesson to be learned, right? A lot of people, especially when you talk about business owners, once they have the first failure, that's it. I'm never gonna be a business owner. I'm done, right? If I did that when I was 21, there'll be a big problem because, like me and Minna's probably opened 7 or 8 businesses over the last 30 years. And to be honest, there were like 3 or 4 of them that massively failed and put us into financial debt. And most people say, "That's it, I'm done. I'm just going to go back to my 9 to 5 and be at it." But I think when you have clarity of what you want to do, right? And for me, it's sort of nice if you can get your clarity and passion to line up because it's definitely much easier to move
Oh, it
forward.
is so much easier. And then in your circles change.
Yes.
So, and I talk about that a lot. Your circles change.
Mhm.
Sometimes your success as a business owner, as an individual, costs you a few people along the way.
Oh, for sure.
And
Yes.
and those are people who they weren't supposed to be on your
Mhm.
journey. I mean, everyone's here for a season. If you can look at things as seasons,
Mhm.
when the kids were little and they would start doing something unique, and I would just reassure myself as an ever-loving mom and unconditional love is this is a phase. This is a phase. This is a phase. Everything was a phase. But now that the current trending is it's a season.
Mhm.
Seasons come and go, and if you're here in the Midwest, seasons last a day at a time sometimes. 'Cause, it's not even the high temperature of the day yet, and we are nearly 60 degrees in February, but we're expecting snow this weekend. So, um, yeah, yeah, if you're what a lot of changes in seasons. But I guess that's what I'm saying is don't restrict yourself.
Yes.
Don't beat yourself up. Take the parts that worked. Failure is when you give up.
Yes.
That's the only time I think that, when you stop trying, when you stop saying,
Mhm.
"Oh, those parts of those businesses we launched were not successful, but these pieces were, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna take that knowledge
Exactly.
and move forward," because learning is a continuum.
Mhm.
I used to say, somebody would say, "Oh, I learned something," because I'm a kook, that keeper of odd knowledge. I love oddities of knowledge, and some people go, "Oh, you're a know-it-all." Well, no. And I've learned to say, "Oh, you don't wanna hear about it." Then they're like, "Oh, yeah, tell us." I'm like, "Okay, it'll be the whole history, it'll be a whole lesson." So much like my father there. But when someone would say, "Oh, well, I learned something new." It's like, "Oh, well, you can sleep well tonight. As long as you learn something new every day, you're gonna continue to sleep well."
I
So,
love that.
yeah. So, look at look at all of those redos, do-overs, stepping out of your comfort zone and learning something new. These are all an invitation. You're not being pushed. You're
Correct.
just taking that invitation to learn, to grow, and to be more. Because this
Mhm.
year it's not about racing. Don't make it about racing. Don't let that fire chase you. Don't let it
Good.
push you into anything. Really hone it and tame it
Mhm.
so that this year can be made about rising, and supporting one another
Mhm.
because there I think competition's good. It keeps us honest in what we're
Yes.
doing. But I also think that, when there's another business that does something similar to yours, supporting them because when they grow, you grow and
Mhm.
supporting one
Great.
another. So, and I was putting this together. I put this together yesterday. I didn't know you were going to join me, so um
Threw you on the for a loop.
not under the bus, just a loop, just that opportunity. So I drew an angel card this morning, and our angel today is the angel of kindness. And I think she speaks well to this. She says, I am free and powerful, or I am a free and powerful source of life and kindness. The essence of kindness is to realize intricate and delicate network that we form with the beings in every kingdom in all dimensions. The kindness of the soul inspires us to care lovingly and responsibly for our relationships with people, animals, plants, and things. To be kind is to realize within our hearts our total interdependence and to be thankful for all kingdoms of life exactly as they are.
I like that.
I think that's really
Mhm.
big, and remembering to be kind to yourself. I think that our self-talk oftentimes, and I've said it before, is the nastiest that
Mhm.
we wouldn't even talk to our enemies that way. So having that kindness for yourself.
Mhm.
So this year, our mantra can be this year, I'm not chasing powerful dates. I'm building powerful foundations. When the fire says run, I'm asking if my body agrees. And when momentum knocks, I'm checking if my integrity answers.
Oh, I love that.
Sometimes sometimes it's not about answering every call, you know? There's no law that says you have to answer every phone call. So stepping into power isn't about how fast you move, it's about how fully you can sustain the version that of you that arrives. What can you do? So might want to think about, what are you choosing wisdom over urgency?
Hmm.
What are you going to step back and reevaluate before you push forward and potentially flop if it's not fully prepared? Readjust your lunch dates.
Hmm.
And then what are you tending to instead of forcing? So how are
Okay.
you growing and developing things? So yeah, let's make it a powerful new year. We got a new restart. Um,
Hmm.
the Chinese New Year when I had a retail store, it was more about not getting my shipments because everyone was celebrating and they weren't shipping things out. So
Correct.
I just
Yes.
ordered. And I know you and I had that conversation a couple weeks ago. Um, yeah, so that's what it is. So if you like what you saw today, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification button if you're feeling really brave. And we will see you here again next week at 11:30 Central Time and go live. In the meantime, Christy and I are really going to have a great conversation more about this fire horse energy, and that'll be tonight with the Chronic Health Collective. Uh, we're gonna we're gonna take over the airwaves. But check in because we're really talking about a lot of the shadow work and the things that you do to make this happen. It's more about that radical self-love. And then Friday, and that's 7 p.m. Central Time.
Yes.
All the really cool networks. And then on Friday, there is the Chronic Health Collective. No,
Chronically healthy life.
Chronically Healthy Life. Again, 7 p.m. The times are the same, 7 p.m.
Yes.
But this one, Christy gets to really talk with Minna and
Hmm.
talk about stress and how all of that goes through. This one's going to be really great Friday night too. So if you're not able to catch them live, they are available on replays and on YouTube
Hmm.
as well. Anything to add there, Andy?
No, I think it is amazing, when we talk about the fire horse, and I'm sort of embracing it. I'm embracing the energy, and like you said, I'm trying to calm the fire, right? But being a horse, you're wild and free. I'm also trying to let my spirit out, right? I think for the longest time I've been just sort of caging it, and this year it's like everything's going out. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know why is my screen just sort of keep flipping out over there.
It's okay. We are here. That's all that counts.
But I think this is the year to be a little bit more, right? But like just take it one day at a time. Don't go too crazy, but channel around all the people that's around you too. I think that is really really important what you're saying.
Yeah. Your circle changes and as you grow, you outgrow your circle. And in between those circles can be lonely.
Hmm.
But just attracting the things that what you're putting out is what you're attracting.
Exactly.
And so when you put out a different vibe, you're going to get a different circle. Sometimes it takes a little time for that circle to find you.
Hmm.
Just like in a new business. If you put your open sign out on the door on day one and 75 people don't find you that day and come in and buy, it takes time. It takes time for that energy to have its ripple effect and to
Correct.
go out and bring to you the people that are aligned. But if
Mhm.
you put out that open sign and the first day you're not successful and you start beating yourself up, nobody's going to want to come around that energy you just created.
Correct.
So, be aware of that. Think about that energetic vibe that you're putting out to everybody and yeah, go grow. Go do something awesome.
I love it. I love it.
All righty. Until next week, we will we'll come up with something. If you wanna hear something different, you gotta let me know. Otherwise, you're gonna hear about my life and going to physical therapy.
Well, happy Lunar New Year to everyone out there. And like Amanda says, I'm looking forward to seeing everyone next week.
All right.